event takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. And let's begin with a Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have a flag? Oh. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public announcements. Public comments on items not on the agenda. Our current, don't see anything. Current claims list as of February 24th, 2021 to March 2nd, 2021 by the Commissioner's Office totals $1,623,372.50. We have 4 hearings today, and we'll begin with Amanda Henthorn with budget amendments.
Thank you, Commissioner Vero. I'll just dive in so we can hurry up.
Thanks.
I'll go through both of them at the same time since they're fairly straightforward. The first budget amendment for today is to add revenues and expenses from a grant funding received by the Missoula County Health Department that helps support vaccination efforts for infants, children, and adults. This is not related to COVID-19. This is just the standard vaccination panel. There are no matching funds required, and you signed the contract for this grant work at an administrative meeting on February 4th. The funding provides outreach and vaccination efforts for early childhood. The second budget amendment today is also fiscal impact neutral, and I'm asking that you add revenues and expenses related to contributions received from the City of Missoula, the City of Bozeman, and the City of Helena for consulting services for the development of a well-designed green tariff to support the joint clean energy efforts of all of the parties, including Missoula County. The interlocal agreement for the funding was approved on February 10th, 2021 in an administrative meeting. And although I did not attend this morning's administrative meeting, I believe you also approved the contract for the consultant this morning. So Missoula County had originally budgeted $20,000 for hiring this consultant, and the other 3 entities are making up the remainder of the $80,000 for the total consulting contract of $100,000. No additional funding is required of the county. And those are the amendments for today.
Great. Can we take them all together, or do we have to do them one at a time?
You can do them both at the same time.
Amanda, could you put up some resolution, some language?
Yes, somehow.
I can also pull up, I have RCAs right here. Let me just pull them up.
Quick. Thanks, Violet.
Violet is probably a little faster.
And Colleen Morris has her hand up.
Hi, yes. Amanda, I did just want to clarify, and for the commissioners, that the amendment to the task order for the immunization additional funding in the amount of the $38,000 and change is for COVID immunization services. So I just wanted to clarify that it is additional money meant to supplement the $45,000 and change that we already get every year. This is to kind of help with the outreach and additional offsite clinics that we've done. In essence, we've probably spent the money already because you can use it kind of backdated for stuff we've already purchased and money that we've, things that we've had to buy to set up these clinics and stuff. But that is what it's intended for. So just wanted to clarify that.
Thanks, Colleen.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, Juan, are you ready for a motion?
We're ready.
Okay, I would request the board adopt the resolution to amend the fiscal year 2021 budget to include revenues and expenditures related to grant funding received by the Missoula City County Health Department to support community vaccination efforts for infants, children, and adults. Would also request that the board adopt the resolution to amend the fiscal year 2021 budget to include revenues and expenses related to contributions received from the City of Missoula, the City of Bozeman, and the City of Helena for consultant services for the development of a well-designed green tariff to support joint clean energy efforts of the parties, including Missoula County.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Amanda, and thanks, Colleen.
You too. Okay, we have zoning of an unzoned parcel. Is this Bailey?
Oh yeah, I've got the next two, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Let me get my PowerPoint here. One quick second. Bring everybody back up. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So this is a request for the O'Keefe Ranch Estates. It's the resolution to adopt the final zoning. The property is at 10013 Waldo Road. This is the property location, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, but here's the interchange for I-90 and Highway 93 North, and you come up and it's off of Waldo Road. Existing zoning for this parcel and the surrounding area is generally unzoned. There's a little bit of zoning over to the east side of the site off of Highway 93 North. So this property currently has approved subdivision for the O'Keefe Ranch Estates subdivision. It's a 197 lot subdivision that was originally approved back in 2005. You've been seeing it at the last couple of meetings. They did some condition amendments at the last couple of meetings. Phase 1 doesn't expire until October of 2022, and phase 2 doesn't expire until October of 2023. Total, it wouldn't end until 2031 with all the phases. The applicant is currently working to connect to City of Missoula sewer. However, in order to do that, the property must be zoned in order to allow for that connection. The O'Keefe Ranch Rural Zoning District would be specific to this property only. So it is a unique district. It's not one of our standard districts. Here, I'll go back. So the new district, it's based off of the Missoula County CR1 residential district, but it does have modifications to space and bulk requirements, which are setbacks, minimum lot sizes, residential density maximums. It would also modify the permitted and the conditional uses allowed. So this project has been ongoing for a good couple of months. It went to planning board back in January 5th of this early this year. The main topics discussed at the planning board meeting was compliance with the 2019 land use element, compliance with our 2016 growth policy, the approved subdivision itself, Missoula's requirement for that the parcel be zoned, the city's requirement the parcel be zoned. Ultimately, the planning board did recommend denial of the request 6-3, and that was due to concern about the non-compliance with the 2019 land use element. So the Board of County Commissioners met on January 28th. We discussed the project then as well. We discussed the land use plans since the subdivision was approved in 2005. We discussed compliance with our 2019 plan. We talked about infrastructure that's existing at the Y, concerns about future infrastructure, things like that. And then the comment from the Water Quality District regarding the rising groundwater that they've been seeing in the wells that they monitor in this area. Ultimately, the commissioners did approve the resolution of intent to zone the property 3-0. So since that January meeting, I have placed a legal notice for the resolution of intent to rezone, published twice in the Missoulian, February 7th and February 14th. I've had no comments or written protest received on the project, and 30 days from the first publication ended this past Tuesday on March 9th. So staff is recommending the commissioners adopt the final resolution, and there is subject to one condition of approval, and that is regarding on that preliminary plat, there's a 100-foot buffer from Highway 90, I-90, and it's on the plat, but we wanted to kind of merge it together with the zoning so that it wasn't something that would get missed over time just as a on the face of the plat, but it's actually in the zoning document itself. So just kind of merging those together. And so with that, I do have a recommended motion, and I know Ron is on the call and would like to give you guys a brief, quick chat as well. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have right now.
Great. Ron, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to quickly address the issue of this special zoning district and why it was crafted. Bailey, could you pull that up?
Oh, and maybe, Ron, do you have to introduce yourself? Are we?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm Ron Ewert with PCI. So I just want to explain why we needed to pick a special zoning district. So first we tried looking at other districts, and at one point we're studying how to propose a modified CR1 district because that's the closest county district that would fit our design. Now this subdivision design is not unique, and there should be a regular county district that would allow this type of design, but there's just not. For example, this CR1 design requires a 75-foot wide lot and a 25-foot front and rear yard setback. So if you had, let's say, a 40-foot wide single-family house, the lot would have to be almost 7,000 square feet. With streets and parkland, I don't see how you could get close to 8 per acre, even if you did duplexes. In this situation, the density is low, partly because we have about 18% in park and common area. The CR1 does not allow multifamily above duplexes, which is probably what you need to get to 8 per acre. The next zone up is CR2, which allows multifamily, but the density can be up to 16 per acre, which is double the comp plan. So the planning board wanted a zone that allows 8 per acre because the area plan calls for 8 per acre, and they felt this is a good place for higher density. We've explained why it's not such a good place for high density, but we also needed to take into considerations of the neighborhood as they were all expecting single family in the design that was approved in 2005. I listened to Josh from Eli on Monday discuss how the folks north of Waldo have long had expectations for 1 house per 2 acres, and he wanted to stick with those expectations. Again, though, the main reason we could not use an existing county district is because none of them came nearly close enough to working for this plan. We couldn't even do what we would call a modified CR1 because there was just too many differences. You don't need a huge lot at all. You can design something that works. I know Hellgate Meadows, they have like 4,800 square foot lots, and that's a beautiful neighborhood, works great. It'd be nice if we could have something like that in the county. So I've always felt that the county zoning districts are not all that realistic and can sometimes be characterized as archaic. I understand we probably prefer to stick with conventional county zoning districts and not have to review a proliferation of special districts, but the county zones may not work for some of the sensible designs we have. Thank you. I just wanted to get that out.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ron.
Sure.
Is there anyone else who has comments? Josh, I think I cut you off. You were.
No, I was just going to say that all sounds good. I understand the specific requirements of this site and appreciate what you're saying, Ron. And don't have too much to say because we've been through a whole bunch on this one already, and Bailey's done a great job of bringing us up to speed. So I feel good about it.
Great. Motion away then.
Yeah. I would say if you're good, I would move. So I make the motion that the request to adopt the resolution to zone the unzoned parcel to the O'Keefe Ranch Rural Zoning District be approved, subject to one condition of approval. The property subject to the approval is legally described as parcel 2 of COS 5603, less 0.65 acres, Montana right-of-way, and parcel 3 of COS 5603, South 21 Township, I'll just go S21 T14 North R12 West PMM, Missoula County, Montana.
Woo! Second. And any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron, and thanks, Bailey.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Have a fun day.
You too.
I will.
Get out there and enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah, let's get those houses built.
Yeah, I think they're going to start this spring, so there's some
Fantastic.
sticks in the ground.
Yeah, they'll probably be sold before the poles are dug.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I know we need them.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Waldo.
I know, I feel like it's like the Bailey show today, so.
We like the Bailey Show. All good.
Yeah.
Good for the Bailey Show.
It's like it's hard. I gotta like change my brain here quick too. Okay, so you guys can see my screen here for the Waldo Road one, hopefully.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So this is a request for a Waldo Road and George Cates Boulevard rezoning application. It's actually just across the street from the previous project. There's no physical address, so I'll just skip here so you guys can see where it's at. So the O'Keefe one was, down kind of in the lower left-hand corner, and this is up just on the other side of Waldo Road, same area. There's some adjacent zoning to this parcel. It's the CC2. It actually came through for zoning on that parcel here. I want to say it was 2019, final adoption early 2020. And then there is some residential zoning just to the south as well. But otherwise, it's unzoned in this area too. The land use designation is rural residential and agriculture, and that has, just to put it into perspective, a residential density ranging between 1 unit per acre and 2 units per acre. Oh, wait, I said, sorry, I was reading small agriculture, rural residential and agriculture. Whoops. My bad.
That's really small. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that's not right. I was reading. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Sorry. 1 unit per 10 acres and 1 unit per 2 acres. That's better. It's the problem when I get going too fast. So this is kind of, and I know the screenshot's really tiny. It's in the packet as well, but the proposal is, again, the applicant is working to connect to City of Missoula sewer. The property, again, must be zoned to allow for that connection. So this rural zoning district would create a density that's not currently existing in our regulations. It'd be between the CA3 and the CRR1. They are proposing some slight modification to setbacks, and then they're proposing reductions to the permitted, conditional, and special exception uses. So they're really shrinking it down just specific to this project. Staff is ultimately recommending approval. We are proposing 2 conditions of approval with this project. One is that within the permitted uses, they would add residential accessory buildings and uses. So if you go, I'll go back here real quick. I know you can't really see it, but they allow agricultural, including any and all structures needed for agricultural use, but they don't reference any accessory structures for residential use. So like a detached garage is the best example, or a shed or something like that. And so that we want that under permitted uses as well. So that gives people the same ability. And that's something that's in all of our current residential districts as well. And then the second proposed condition is under the general standards, add a condition regarding the construction of basements is prohibited, and that the lowest floor and all utilities, including ductwork, shall be constructed a minimum of 2 feet above the highest adjacent existing grade. And this condition is actually the same that is on the neighboring parcel that had that CC2. That's the special condition that was added. And this condition, we're proposing it due to the comments from the Water Quality District, which were the same as what was O'Keefe as well, that the rising groundwater in the area they're noticing, it's not in a floodplain, but this just gives that ability to try to minimize any of those potential factors and potential impacts with rising groundwater in this area. So we did notice, I will not read all the slide, but I wanted it in case people at home wanted to read it. We did notice advisory agencies before the planning board hearing, and I'll get into that in a second. The health department, didn't have any specific comments. It will require review through sanitation. Floodplain, again, it's not in that designated FEMA floodplain zone. But again, Todd did have the same questions as the Water Quality District regarding the the water issues that are in this area. And then the water quality had the same concerns with the rising groundwater as they did with O'Keefe. So that's where that condition comes from, trying to minimize those impacts. We didn't have any other comments from other agencies. I did post a sign on the property. We mailed adjacent landowners within 300 feet. We mailed them a notice of the request. I did have 2 comments in opposition prior to the planning board hearing, and those are included in the packet as well. The planning board met on February 16th and heard the request. The main topics that were discussed at that time was future annexation into city limits. We had a discussion about, why they're connecting to sewer, but they're not being required to annex in, and how city limits aren't really this far out here, but they're still connecting to city services. Discussion on that. The submitted public comments, the 2 public comments that we had received. The difference, I should say, one of those comments talks about subdivision review and subdivision exemption process. And so we had a discussion on that this request is for zoning and there's zoning criteria versus subdivision regulations and subdivision criteria, and that they're 2 different regulations, 2 different process, and you can't use the conditions and the criteria of one to make conditions or criteria in the other one, basically. Kind of, they're 2 separate things. And then we did discuss the water quality district's comments regarding groundwater and soils in the area as well. Ultimately, the planning board did recommend approval of the request 8-0 with the 2 recommended conditions of approval. Since that time, I have had 1 comment in opposition that has come in and been received. It's actually from one of the same people from the original 2 comments, and a lot of the concerns are the same. The difference between subdivision regulations and zoning regulations. There were some pictures that they did attach that shows kind of the water and the drainage issues in that area, and so one of the things is that just kind of, in my opinion, exemplifies why we need that condition prohibiting the basements and things like that for this project. So I have a recommended motion to approve. I know Eli and Associates, Joshua is on that. I'm sure he would love to answer any questions you have or go into further detail, and I'm happy as well.
Great, so either Joshua or Ron, you want to comment?
This is Joshua Phillips with Eli and Associates. I have with me Tom Anderson with Eli
I'm
and
sorry,
Associates.
Ron used to work with Eli, so I was getting confused. Sorry.
Yeah, and he's frozen on the
okay.
screen,
It's
like
frozen
he's
out there.
ready
Okay.
to comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll just briefly say that, we found the same sort of situation that Ron spoke about on O'Keefe, with needing a zoning designation that didn't quite fit, into the existing county zoning designations. So we really, in an effort to do right by these neighbors that definitely don't want to see really anything happen here, to try to craft a zoning designation that showed full compliance and full intent to comply with the existing Meadows West covenants, which limit this area to a 1 per 2 acre density, and also comply with the land use element, which that would be the highest density that the land use element would allow, is 1 per 2. As Bailey stated previously, and then also try to do some kind of a infill development on this property. At first glance, it looks like it would support a greater density, but as has been discussed and noted, there are some surface water runoff issues that would then come into review at the time of some proposed development. So in very much the same situation as O'Keefe, we can't do a development without connecting to sewer, which we have on site. the site actually has its own manhole on the property in anticipation of a development that would utilize the sewer. But we can't hook up to sewer until we're zoned. So it was a horse and carriage sequence thing, and so that's why we're here.
Great, thank you. Anyone else have comments or questions?
Just a few. Juan, I don't know if you're ready for me, but
Go for it. I don't see anyone raising their hands.
So I'd have to say when we first came across this, I thought, wow, that's an extremely light zoning when you have the sewer present, given that we are in a widely acknowledged housing crisis. And certainly the effect on the neighborhood, the adjacent neighborhood, really needs to be considered, and the folks who live nearby don't want any more density than would be in this proposed zoning. Those folks are in luck, in that the topography and groundwater conditions of the site wouldn't allow any higher density. So housing crisis or not, high cost of sewer or not, it's going to be light density, because that's all that this area could support. And it doesn't seem that in terms of groundwater, it could even support septic, and sewer is there. So what we're left with is kind of the best option, if not a great set of options. So I'm all for it. I just wanted to explain why.
Great. Thanks, Bailey. Did you have
that.
something else?
Bailey, did I get any of that wrong? Please correct me if I did.
Nope, sounded good to me.
Oh, Josh, yeah.
I have one question that just stems from Commissioner Slotnick's comments, and that is, what binding effect do you see that the existing covenants have on limiting density?
Man, is Tim on the line, or John? Bailey, you may know the answer. So Eli, I'm sorry, I can't answer that. The question of the binding nature of covenants is one I know that has been debated a bit, and somebody like John Hart or maybe Bailey knows the answer, and I should just shut up. So Bailey, what's the answer? What's the binding nature of covenants?
I honestly, I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, so covenants, from what we deal with them, they are private agreements between property owners. There isn't, it's not like it was a subdivision that came through, where subdivision covenants that we have, like that we require that have to come to. These ones, from my understanding, predate that. It's like the neighbors just kind of banded together to make their own set of covenants. But that being said, I mean, obviously we never want to get in the middle of them either. So that's probably a very political comment that I gave. That's like riding in the middle. But John might have more as well.
Commissioners, I don't have a lot more. It's been a while since I reviewed any of the Den Blecker covenants, but generally, if you own a piece of land, you can place restrictions on the use of that land in the form of a covenant that then runs with the land for the foreseeable future. I want to say into perpetuity, but at least for the foreseeable future. And the question comes up, who can enforce those covenants? And generally, it's anybody who owns all or any part of that property into the future is the one who has the authority or qualifies to try to enforce those covenants. And those covenants are, ultimately enforced by a court of law. Sometimes I see covenants where Missoula County is included as an entity who has the ability to enforce the covenants, but generally, as a governing body, we wouldn't have the authority to enforce private covenants unless those private parties have specifically given us that authority. And I can't say how the covenants on this property work. I don't believe that Missoula County has the authority to enforce those. So if somebody was trying to, do some land use that is not in compliance with those covenants, only somebody who owns land that is touched by those covenants can then enforce them.
Joshua, does that help? It was,
I mean,
Feel
not
free to say
really.
no.
Where's my?
Because I guess what I want to know is, and this is purely selfishly motivated, but so that if I was in this situation again, and there were covenants that were restricting density, but that the county and the community at large wanted to see greater density, is there a way that a case could be made that we got approval for greater density?
Well, under that scenario, Joshua, yeah, I mean, Missoula County could use its authority to make a land use decision that is not in compliance with private covenants. However, a property owner whose property, who has the authority to enforce those covenants could challenge that decision by Missoula County, and convince a court of law that land use decision violates those covenants.
Yeah.
And I can't say definitively if they would be successful or not, but I think that's how it would play out. Missoula County, on the one hand, isn't bound by private covenants in making a land use decision, but the private property owners who are bound by those covenants can enforce those, and in doing so, have a court invalidate some action, some land use decision or action that Missoula County made. I hope I'm not making things any more confusing.
So John, we're in the process of doing some new zoning now. If we end up with if zoning ends up being in conflict with existing covenants, what happens?
Well, I think just what I was trying to articulate, Josh, if somebody, it would be incumbent on somebody
to challenge,
who owns property, a property owner who has the authority to enforce those covenants, that would then have to challenge those. And I think essentially, that was sort of alluded to when we were looking at the land use element in this part of the county. I think we heard from Alan McCormick and other property owners in this neck of the woods talk to us about how that land use element needed to jive with the covenants that were out there. And I believe that that's what ultimately happened. Andrew worked with those property owners and tried to align the land use element with existing covenants, just so that we wouldn't get crosswise with anybody.
Thanks.
But perhaps, Josh, we have some overriding authority over private covenants. I don't want to say that here on the record because I'm not certain of that. But it may just be, the Missoula County, through its police powers, and that's the small p police powers to protect general health, safety, and welfare, can make decisions that perhaps override specific private covenants in a specific locale. I just can't say right here off the cuff that would fly.
Thanks. I'm prepared to make a motion if you're good with that.
I'm good with it. I just wanted to double check with Joshua and Eli. Are you guys okay to go forward? No more comments? Go ahead, Josh. Slotnick, Fisher Slotnick.
All right, I move that the request to adopt the resolution of intent to zone the unzoned parcel to Waldo Road and George Cates Boulevard Rural Zoning District be approved based on the findings of fact contained in the staff report, public testimony, and written comment, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. The property subject to this approval is legally described as Lot 2, less MTDOT-ROW of Denbleck subdivision S16T14N R2OWPMM.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Thanks, Bailey and John, and Joshua.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah. So this
Thank
will end
you.
up coming back to you at the towards the end of April. So
Okay, great. 236. Okay, Hegemeyer.
Hello. Let me we're gonna be quick, okay? This is gonna be fast. Let me just get set up.
My team just did something that's really strange. Everyone is creepily pixelated.
Or Ron is stuck forever.
Oh,
Yeah, he's with us forever. All right, you should be looking at my slideshow here.
There you
yes.
go. Yeah.
All right, so
Great.
awesome. We got 5 slides. We're gonna do them each in 1 minute. We'll be done in 5 minutes. All right, we are here today to make final resolutions on the Sxwtpqyen neighborhoods project, which includes the master plan, the code, and the zoning map. And when this is the final resolution, so if approved today, it will be effective. So again, we've got 3 final resolutions. The first one is on the neighborhood, on the master plan. So that's the policy element. The second is on the code. So that's adopting this form-based code as a zoning code for Missoula County. And then the third is the map amendment, which would then apply it to a geographic location in Missoula County. So here's some of the basics. We do have a little bit of a legal, obligation in making these final resolutions. We sent out, because we are doing zoning, we sent out, the notice that we are making this final action and for protest, and we did not receive any protest. So if approved, the plan, code, and zone change will be effective as today. However, I wanted to point out we're still, working on the phonetic spelling of Sxwtpqyen. And we can still make non-content edits to the plan and the code. And we will do that as soon as we have the preferred phonetic spelling of Sxwtpqyen.
Andrew, is that going to come from the tribes or how?
That's coming from the tribes, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So what's next? This is not really necessarily relevant. I just wanted to take a chance to let you know what's next for the Sxwtpqyen neighborhoods. At some point here, now that it's adopted, we'll need to work with the city of Missoula to create an implementation committee. The master plan that we've adopted, it's being implemented through the zoning, but there were a lot of other elements in that master plan that we want to see come to fruition. Ag land preservation, Grant Creek preservation. So creating an implementation committee is a step towards doing that. This summer, we'll start to build this neighborhood with the Bill Grant infrastructure that we'll start seeing roads being built this summer. And then in about a week, we have a training with the development community on how to use this new form-based code, because it's a little different from what they're used to. So with that, here's the crazy motion. You can make 3 motions, or you can make 1 motion and read it all at the same time. It's up to you. Are there any questions?
No. Let's see here. Sorry, just getting another text in here. Don't see anyone. This is like 2 years, and I don't know how long you've been working on this, Andrew.
Yeah, a little, yeah. It, you know, technically the real meat of this project started almost a year ago. There was a lot of work done before that, but like the real public engagement process started a year ago.
And are you proud of this?
Oh yeah, this is some of the most progressive planning. This is the most progressive planning you'll see in the state of Montana for our county by far.
Yeah.
This is a really exciting project.
Yeah, it's a huge achievement, Andrew.
I have some friends in New Hampshire who are planners, and they've been following this whole process, and they're impressed.
Yeah, it received national attention in the planning community.
Well, Josh, it's your pleasure.
All right, and so
did we take public comment?
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Just gotta make sure we meet our obligations.
No, thank you.
Is there any public comment? I can't. My screen is really kind of wild, so I can't see. If
do you want me to and like stop sharing? Would that help? And then I can bring this back up.
Andrew, if you could keep this up so I could read it, that would be really great.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't see the participants, so I can't tell if I don't see any hands, and there's no one on the phone. So I think I wish Strohmeyer were here for this occasion, but Josh, you're good to go.
All right. Yeah, this is a huge thing, Andrew. I mean, all the effort that went into this, the work with Dover Coal, all the people that went to DC to get the grant, everything, your long range planning expertise. It's a huge achievement, and no surprise that it gained national attention. Really look forward to our continued involvement.
It's going to be a really neat place when it develops. It's going to be a really neat neighborhood.
And you know, I mean, not a day goes by that we don't hear about our very real and quite intense housing crisis. And Andrew, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we're looking at up to 6,000 units.
That's correct.
I mean, we're also talking over quite a time horizon, but this is a very real effort that we all are making to address that. And you can't snap your fingers and build a house. We are moving along at a pretty brisk pace to do a great job preserving community values and making sure development can move smoothly by creating all this infrastructure for, say it again, 6,000 units. So thanks a lot, Andrew.
And designed well and at the human level. This isn't just 6,000 units being thrown in there. This is very, very intentional, and this is why it's celebrated as a national.
Thanks for
national example. Thank you.
I was trying to shorten it with preserving community values, but I think it needed to be elucidated more than that. Yeah, we're talking walkable, bikeable trails, mixed use, all access to urban ag, all the stuff that makes neighborhoods good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Juan, should I just read them all and do them all at once? Column 1, 2, 3.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, here we go. I would move that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the final resolution to adopt the proposed Sxwtpqyen Area Neighborhood Master Plan as an area plan of the Missoula County Growth Policy, that the Missoula County Land Use Map, Map 18, be amended to include the Sxwtpqyen Area Neighborhood Master Plan Land Use Designation, and that the boundaries of the Wymon Comprehensive Area Plan be amended to exclude the proposed plan's boundaries. 2, that the Board of County Commissioners adopt a final resolution to adopt the proposed Sxwtpqyen Traditional Neighborhood Development Form-Based Code as a zoning regulation for a portion of Missoula County to implement the Sxwtpqyen Area Neighborhoods Master Plan, and that the Board of County Commissioners adopt a final resolution to amend a portion of the Missoula County zoning map according to the Sxwtpqyen Traditional Neighborhood Development Form-Based Code.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Well done.
Thank you so much, Andrew, and all the other folks who worked with you.
It was a great project. Yeah, thank you very much. We're excited. We're excited about it. There's a lot more good stuff to come.
Fantastic. Okay, and my agenda is running away from me. Where are we? Let's see here. I have to open this again. We might be done.
I
We are
think
so-
that was the last action item.
Aha, other business. Wow, okay. Violet, if we don't have anything else, I think we are adjourned.
Well
Perfect.
done.
Damn, 2:45. Thank
Nice
you all so
job.
much. And Josh has time to like have a
Bio
bio
break.
break and get
Yeah.
your head on straight and testify. Okay.
Thanks, Juan, for making it go so smoothly.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Good
Bye.
luck.